Hello, everyone. My name is Ben. Welcome to season three of Muse. Very excited to be back with our first guest. We have Beth Elsden with us today. It's been a long time since I've spoken with people about songwriting and recording it so that we can share that information with our students and those that are interested in songs and songwriting. Songwriting is an art form that I personally love and have loved for a very long time. So, looking forward to having this discussion. Beth, how are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to talk about songwriting. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole music process as well.
Oh, perfect. And so the reason I contacted you is because I got to review your EP, The Waiting Room. And man, there were some lyrics in there that when I listened to them, I thought this is some pretty deep stuff. I love the idea of, and I'd like you to talk to me about one of your favorite songs on that EP. But I will just preface by saying the idea of the waiting room yeah. Can you explain that song to me? Because at the very beginning, it sounds like you are in a waiting room.
Yeah, sure. I developed this EP over a couple of years, sort of like whenever me and my producer had time, we would jump in the studio. So it took longer than what most people experience in terms of making music and pushing out albums and EPs. So this particular song I wrote sort of towards the end of the process when I was getting slightly frustrated with how long it was taking, and I just felt like there was an idea of who I wanted to be and the person that I was, and there was a big disconnect that I really didn't like. Um, so I sort of sat down in my room one day and just, yeah, I think it started maybe like more of a poem type of song. And then took it to Abby. And since we were sort of like, we'd already done quite a few songs at this point, I was like, I think this is the final button. And I think that I want this to be like the opening track, and it sort of would like summarize everything that we've been working on. And so then the waiting room feeling at the start of it is because we decided to just sort of record me walking into the recording booth and sort of like setting my chair down, sitting down and just taking a breath because, yeah, I think all the music we worked on and particularly that song is very much like, here's how I'm feeling, you know? So I
Yeah,
wanted
man.
that be kind of how the EP starts. And also, it's my debut EP. So it also kind of, I guess, signifies like the start of my journey musically.
Fantastic. And can we just say that as of today, I saw the post that you said that you were featured or mentioned in Rolling Stone Australia. Is that right?
Yes, I was, and it was really cool. I wasn't sure because I'd spoken to them a while ago, so I thought, oh, maybe, I understand. Maybe they've pulled it, and they don't want to go ahead with it. So woke up today and was like super surprised. But yeah, I'm so grateful for all of that kind of support because it helps more than they know, I reckon.
Okay, let's hang out in the waiting room for a little while. No pun
Mm.
intended. The opening, there's a line in there. The waiting room. Sorry, can you explain? Yeah, there's a line in there. The waiting room is for my is not for my 40s. What was the line you say?
My
There's a
20s are
there's
a waiting room. The doctor
yes.
figure out or says I'm bleeding.
Yeah. I love that idea. The
Oh, I'm
20s. What
bleeding.
do you, so where were you saying, where does the 20s finish? What are you waiting for in that song?
Yeah, such a good question. I mean, I think, I don't think I expected when I wrote that song that that feeling would last for the entirety, like, of the decade of my 20s. But I think it was this feeling where you are sort of, you're working on your own stuff and you're figuring out what you want. And especially as a person who has always been drawn to like creative things, it didn't feel like there was sort of an easy or direct route, whereas a lot of the people I'd sort of made friends with going to uni, they had their track medicine, and then you do that, you become a student doctor, and then you become a doctor, and then you specialize, or dentistry, same kind of thing, or studying law, and then you become a law clerk, and you pass the bar exam, and then you become a solicitor, and maybe, it just felt like everyone knows what they've got to do. And I didn't feel that. I was very unsure with what I was doing. I studied all of my interests at uni, and so I came out with psychology and theatre studies and music. And so I was like, well, this doesn't give me a lot to work with, um, in terms of like employability, maybe. But also it's about, it's about just showing that you can do something. So it's actually been fine. But at the time, I really, had an identity crisis about it. Um, and yeah, I think it was also like watching people graduate like life stages, and sometimes you're just not there. Like a lot of my friends were sort of falling in love and finding their person. Like some are engaged now and having babies now, and I just yeah, I really felt like I am not on that kind of path. And so ultimately, I think the waiting room was just where you have to sit and really learn like patience, that your turn to feel all of that like fulfillment and sort of like you're going somewhere is coming, but you have to learn to sort of like accept where you are first. Yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I also teach religious education. I'm very philosophical. So a lot of the
Mhm.
stuff you just mentioned is very hard for some of us to reconcile or kind of understand where we fit into a great bigger picture that for other people looks fantastic, but there's actually probably another side that we just don't really see about them as well or hear from them about. It comes with that territory. So what I really liked about that idea of that opening song and the waiting room, yeah, the 20s is my wait is a waiting room, is that so if you're very interested in folk music or you're playing all the guitar yourself?
hmm yeah, I think because we were at the end of that process, we tracked the guitar, just sort of like one time playing it through, and then I tracked the vocal, and then we played it back, and we were sort of like, well, this sounds good. Should we just keep it like this? Like, we'd done all the bells and whistles on the four other songs. We'd really like taken them from a simple place and just kept adding stuff on. So I think it was nice to just sort of exhale and be like, maybe we just keep this as how it was written. I think that serves the song more. And then sort of mid last year, Abby messaged me like, I actually think you should add some harmonies in the second, like, it's not really a verse chorus structure, but I guess like the second iteration um of the verse. And so, yeah, that's pretty much all that's on it, is just a little bit of like atmosphere and then some harmonies that come in.
Great. And then as you move through the EP, there's yeah, you as you mentioned before, the other songs are a little bit more full. There's some fantastic layering going on. And when I was writing my review and listening to it, one thing I always am fascinated about is where people decide or how they decide to layer things and why. And a lot of the times, and this might be something that your producer's doing and you learned about or you already knew about, is the idea that even just that small little thing adds some energy to a song and can cause somebody to notice something, even if they don't necessarily notice it, if that makes sense.
Mm,
It's not until you go back or you become a songwriter that you start to hear these extra little things like a little riff or ostinato. Is there any particular song on that EP that you kind of started off as scratch and your producer and yourself really worked on fleshing out all these ideas and it just became this bigger expression of the song than it had at the beginning? And if there are, yeah, any
mm.
examples of that?
Yeah, I think Peace Comes With It probably started where Abby had heard like my demo of that because I had a go at producing it myself, which I don't really want it to see the light of day.
You have to
But
send it to
she
me later on, man, for sure. I really like that
yeah.
song.
She saw the potential in it, so we kind of did that, but we thought maybe, maybe that's our stripped back kind of song. But then we ended up just going ham, and there's like timpanis in there, and like there's these sort of things that sound like explosions, like instead of drums that come in the last chorus, which you wouldn't notice, but it sort of adds to that like feverish chaos that we kind of ended up trying to depict. Yeah, I
There's
think
one
that only
line I really like in that
becomes more
song,
and more important.
until my blood simmers down, until our blood simmers down. But when you sing it in a really low key voice, like isn't
Yeah.
everyone's upset about it. It's such a cool line. because it's
Thank
very there's all
you.
sorts of things going on in that song. But yeah, that one stands out quite a bit because of the cinematic feel about it. What is that song about for you? What does it mean? Where does this one
Well,
come from?
yeah, I was asked to write a song for a documentary about peace, and I hadn't seen the documentary or anything. It was sort of just like that was pretty much the brief, was just like, we're making a documentary about world peace, and we'd like a song at the end of it. And I was like, okay, I don't feel equipped to speak on that subject. I don't know what wisdom I have to impart. So I was kind of thinking like, what does peace mean to me, and what does it mean for me to be living in a world where there's constant headlines and constant chaos, for lack of a better word. So then I think I came up with the I've never seen the stars like this, they could swallow me whole and I'd be fine with it, sort of to signify that like feeling of like, oh, sometimes you just want to black out, like let's just like cut everything away for a second so I can just breathe, which I think is what you might have liked about the we could run away from it all so we can let our blood simmer down. Like it's that feeling of like if we could just pause and find a moment to chill. Um, but yeah, so then I landed on I want the chaos if your peace comes with it too,
That's right.
which
That's like that
ultimately
line is so good. What a great line.
thank you. Ultimately, it just means that there's so much that I can be appreciative of in this world and like in the people I have around me and how I spend my days. And so, it's obviously not ideal that things are the way they are. Like in a lot of ways, there's always so much to be angry about, always so much to be concerned about, but it's about sort of taking inventory of like what brings me peace and what makes me still like want to fight for like a better place.
What brings you peace?
My dog. I love my dog. I love my dog so much. She's so clingy now, so sometimes it's hard. I love going for walks in the morning and sort of having a really nice routine of like making myself a coffee and a nice meal. I love to cook and I love to bake and I really love my friendships. I'm not sure if I love my friendships a normal amount or like what it is, but they are just the most fulfilling aspect of my life is like going to see my friends and shooting the shit. Shooting
Fine.
the
It's not a problem. We'll let you have that
and
one.
and I also think what I learned in the past 2 years is that what brings me peace is like setting my mind to something and like learning new skills. So a year ago I took up ballet and I'm not a very, skilled ballerina. But
Yet.
it's about like trying and being like a student of life. And yeah, I think it's
Fantastic.
focusing on that stuff.
Yeah. What time do you get up in the morning? I'm a morning person. My family doesn't like me. I have a routine. Same thing. Every morning I get up at a certain time. What time do you get up?
I just do a chill 7:30.
Ah, okay.
Um, but I try and go for a walk like straight away. I work from home full time, so it works quite well that I can do like an hour walk and then make my breakfast and then
Nice.
sit down. Yeah, I don't know. All of that stuff just makes me really happy. And when I fall out of that routine,
Hmm.
I notice like things start to dip in every area.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a 4:45 guy, so every
That's
morning up
crazy.
I know that's what I mean. My friends think I'm mental, but actually I know the
Yeah.
people that are part of that club. We go for walks in the morning, but we also stare at the stars and we wonder and we think. And
Mm,
that gives us gratitude. So what you mentioned, yeah, peace, gratitude, like learning how to give thanks. And I
mm,
guess so. We're not too far from wrapping up, but I do have some other questions I wanted to ask you, and mainly to do with the actual songwriting process. Um,
yes.
so I'm gonna put these ones aside. As I said, I might not bring them up, but okay. So is there a particular like let's go with do you write your songs with your words first or do you just jam on the guitar or instrument and kind of feel something coming to you and then you try to verbalize it?
I think generally I sort of have like a phrase that I want to build a song around. And it's not always like the chorus hook. Sometimes it's like the very first line, or sometimes it's more of ends up being a pre-chorus. So yeah, I would say words first, and particularly because I'm quite like lyrics forward in my music taste. I think that's what I appreciate a little bit more about music in general rather than like a I think also because maybe I'm not super skilled on like creating riffs and creating little arpeggios and things. So yeah, generally words first.
Lyrics first, but then when you go to sing it and you come up with your melodies, where do they come from?
Oh, that's very vibes based, I would say. I feel
Yeah,
like there's probably not a um a like mechanical or calculated way that I'm doing that. It really is just like finding the path through the chords that I've started to come up with. And sometimes I think it's about finding the certain cadence that like gives the lyrics a payoff.
nice.
Um, like I like the so, and soon my words become your ghosts. I'm the one that haunts you. And then you hold the you, and there's this like chromatic descending scale that kind of makes it sound a little bit haunted and um, just brings that, yeah, like tension to the hook. So yeah, like maybe things like that, but it's certainly not top of mind. It's just like I write it and I'm like, oh, I like that after the fact, you know?
Yeah, are there any particular artists that you see as being a great influence on you that you've learned that are essentially your teachers?
Oh yeah, I mean, student of Taylor Swift all my life, and um I really loved her album The Tortured Poets Department, and I think that's because it's so lyrical. It's so lyrically dense. So a lot of my friends like really don't like it. It's quite divisive in that way. Like, you know, they kind of felt like every song sounded the same, which is fair, but also that's like a lot of the time I want to be like taken on a journey and sort of like feel the core emotion of a song. So I'm not too concerned about things sounding the same. Um, yeah, so Taylor Swift and Maisie Peters are like my big references in terms of lyric writers that I admire. I love Maisie Peters' song There It Goes, and it's about like accepting that something is over. And the chorus hook is there it was, heaven knows, there it was, now there it goes. And it feels so like, ah, you're right. Like there it goes. Bye. I just think it's so beautiful, and yeah, I'll always love her for that, just for that single song. And then I love Ryan Beatty, and I love the 1975, and I love the Killers, and I'm not sure what they all have in common, but yeah, they're the people that really speak to me, I would say.
Maybe stuff that you sung along to and subliminally was learning
Mm,
their melodies in some ways to influence your own.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
great. Okay, and then to finish up, really, I would say, is there any advice you would give to songwriters about how to know when that idea that they're generating is right? Like, because that's, as a songwriter myself, I can say that I know, but then sometimes I don't know. But then sometimes you kind of want to find someone to validate it for you. And sometimes that can be difficult, but when you're writing alone, there can be moments where you just know. Have you ever had any of those moments? And what advice, as I said, could you give to students to kind of just continue to push to write
Mm,
music?
I think there's been a lot of like half-written songs in my life, and probably the songs that I want to take further is how I know that it's something worth doing. Like if you get it stuck in your head, or you kind of like want to keep exploring it and want to keep writing it, that's usually kind of how I follow my nose with it. So yeah, there's a lot of songs that I've done a verse and a chorus of and then just kind of put down, or felt like there was nowhere to go for the second verse. And I think that's, yeah, like that kind of thing. If you feel like there's nothing left to say, then sometimes there isn't. But also to sort of go on the other hand of that, I think discipline is really important, and sometimes there'll be like long gaps where I've started a song and then I know I want to write it, but I really put it off. And I recently finished one that I was like so glad that I kept writing it, because I really love it as a full song. And yeah, that could have become a verse chorus into the ether, but you have to really like sit down sometimes and like work the rest of the song. I think it's taken me a few years to sort of get really comfortable just knowing that what I like is valid, and it doesn't have to be liked by everyone. It's liked by me, and that's the reason I'm doing it. So once you get really confident in your tastes and your interests, then I feel like the songwriting and choosing what is kind of worth pursuing and what idea is good as opposed to bad, it all becomes a lot clearer once you're like very self-assured in your own taste.
Fantastic advice.
Mm.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you haven't heard Beth's music, I recommend going and checking The Waiting Room, which is on pretty much all streaming platforms, including Spotify and YouTube. And make sure to find her social media pages and like those because it all helps. Independent music is still blooming in New Zealand, and it's support from you guys that really helps it to do so. So we appreciate it. Thank you
I
for jumping on, Beth, and look forward to hearing more of your music in the coming years.
thank you so much. It's been so fun to talk to you.
You're most welcome. Until next time, team. See you later.
Bye.